Ahoy, shipmates! Double flat thumbs to infinity thrice. Welcome back to Flat Earth British midweek special with my guest, WatersAbove Crypto, who's Jordan. Welcome, Jordan. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me back on. I'm really excited to be with you again.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. We're going to get some good truth, some good information. I must admit, the other night, I have said many times I don't watch many YouTubes, but I do have a listen to you when you're procrastinating, and you did the other night, and it really helped me. It really helped me. Your words just resonated at that moment in time. It all made perfect sense. And the subject that you were talking about was the ego. The ego. You know, some people say you're to let go of the ego. Don't be ego. And the first thing that sprung into my mind was, oh, that's a bit like the hippie psyop, isn't it? You know, just tune in, drop out, don't do anything with your life. And in the end, you'll just lay there, get stoned and not do anything and not really any forwardness in your existence. So that's what sprung into my mind when I thought of ego, was dropouts of society. But what's your take?
Well, really what I was getting to was that the definition and people's perspective of what ego is across the board. So when we go from the narrative, like the textbook definition of what ego is, all the way until you get to the Eastern spiritualism side of it, when you start hearing about these gurus and all of these, legs of that sort of outlook. And you even brought up the hippie movement, which again, that was a very successful time to watch people leave their Abrahamic religions and go join cults. And they were all moving to California or going to India. You're seeing people of all these, different cultures, upbringings, backgrounds, going out of their way to take in this Eastern mysticism. And what I noticed in my, study and also in my experience of life was that these individuals that were going through this process and having this self-proclaimed ego death, they were incredibly weak individuals that were very fearful of taking action. So what that was showing me, especially if I compared and contrasted it to my reality, which I've always been very interested in going out and experiencing the world, whether that be traveling or, putting myself into situations some people might believe is unsafe. I noticed that whenever I would come back from those experiences and I would share that, people would kind of look at me like I had an ego, like I was being egotistical. And I was thinking to myself, well, if success and experience and taking action is considered egoic, then what are you doing? Like, what is the world? And I started to analyze it through those lenses. And the conversation that I had with ego on my last live stream that you joined in, I was really telling people that, whatever you hear that's popular, it's wrong. So if everyone's just bashing on ego, it's because they don't understand what ego actually is. And then to make this practical, ego is like your co-pilot. And when you're flying the plane, like it's advisable to have this co-pilot. And when you believe that ego death is good, it's like taking your co-pilot and shooting him in the head and then throwing him out of the plane. And then anticipating that you're going to have your eyes and on all angles and be able to take care of this task at hand effectively. So what people are really, what they mean when they talk about the ego negatively is that they are talking about the inflated ego, right? That's a term that we hear quite often. We hear people say like, you have a big ego, it's inflated, etc. And like a balloon, when you keep inflating the balloon too much, it pops. So that's a really good way of kind of like analyzing it here. There is a moment where your ego becomes, when it consumes you, and then you become this type of person that's just, a shit talker. And a lot of people have perceived this individual as what's called like an alpha male. And I believe when you start talking in terms of alpha male and beta male and ego and this and that, you're just name calling people and you're not really honoring them for what they are. A human being is quite a complex creature. And if we're just going to name call people and look at people and box them into these terms, we're never really learning them. Martin, I think you're muted.
What about belief then? Because things that I held sacred and would never have imagined, 15 years ago, say that I would have shifted from, I now know to be complete rubbish. And my whole paradigm has shifted to that extent, you know. And I'm guessing that's happened for a lot of people. But, you know, so the beliefs that I had were fake, false belief systems. And I have practiced that. It's the same with these egos as well, you know, like everyone moved into a cult mentality in the late 60s, early 70s. And, you know, you can have BMW owners cults, Morris 1000 owners cults. It seems like you mentioned with weakness, you know, paper people, that they need to sort of gravitate towards these things. It's just
Yeah, joining a cult is a sign of a very weak ego. When you have a strong ego, you actually prevent yourself from joining the herd. A strong ego creates an action based individual that lives within its own truths. Someone with no ego is very easily brainwashed. This is why Eastern spiritualism and most teachings about ego have demonized it, because they want to free your mind to brainwash it. They don't want you to access the truth of what the mind is, which is the universe. It's all things. All things are an extension of what the mind is capable of. So a weak ego is somebody that's easy to take advantage of. A weak ego is somebody that's easy to manipulate. A weak ego is somebody that you could brainwash. And that's what's going on in the world today. Most people have a very damaged ego. So when a new psyop hits the world stage, like scientism and all this stuff going on with germ theory, they just instantly accept it because they have no critical thinking. So I'll say this, and we could talk about belief. Ego, a strong ego, is the portal to intuition. And intuition is the self-truth. It's the ability to access what should I be doing, how should I be going about this, and how does this resonate with me?
Yeah. My greatest tool is my intuition. You need a good level of intelligence with intuition, both coupled together, and you can nail it. You really can. Ego makes everyone right. Exactly that just said in comment. Yeah, exactly that. But yeah, when I was coming back from sea and I was saying about all of the really dangerous stuff that I was doing, and they think it was ego, and it wasn't. I don't think, you know, I don't think that I had an overinflated ego. I've just always been just Martin, you know. I've just always been like this. You know
When
what I mean?
you
Even when I'm
when
out
you
as
take
well with people.
action, when you take action and when you do things, when you actually go out into the world and live, people who merely exist will categorize you. And that is because they live in fear and they
Yeah,
utilize those fears as projections. And the issue with fear is it's not even a real emotion. Fear is actually when the energy that moves you, which is emotion, emotion, energy that moves you.
yeah,
Fear is when you create an abrupt stop to emotion. It's when you actually take this vibrational frequency and attempt to stop it. And that's impossible because everything is vibrating, everything is moving, nothing is truly still. Okay.
yeah.
We want to continue this fractaling kind of like, you know, expansive consciousness. And fear makes you not take action at all. So when a being operates in fear, but they see someone else taking action, it's very natural for them to implement whatever, you know, to project that. And if someone's doing something that's great, especially or successful, you'll hear this term ego, being egoic. And it's just hilarious to me because now I truly understand what ego is and I honor the ego. I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to inflate it. I just honor it for what it is. It's a part of me. It's a part of your soul.
Well,
And in
you know, it's what made us, isn't it? You know, our life circumstances have molded us in a certain way. You know, all of the, you know, the stuff that's happened, and I've had a lot of stuff happen, has made me, you know, Martin Leaker, Flat Earth British you see today. I'm happy to talk because I'm talking from a standpoint of a lot of life experience and accumulated knowledge of 54 years. So I'm happy to, you know, to be able to share that, but that's nothing to do with ego. That's to do with, I know that I'm in a God-given position, for whatever reason, to be able to do this. So, you know, I'm not going to not do it. It has nothing really to do with the ego. It's to do with my desire to know the truth and help if I can. Because somebody said in my comments the other day, you know, how much you'd help them and how much I help them, and I have emails every single day about people telling me how much I've helped them in life. And I sort of get like, sort of, I take a swallow.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
emotional, right? It's emotional when you
Mm,
hear somebody say something
mm,
like that to you. Like
mm.
I can't count the number of times where I've had people say something like that, and I just close my laptop and I just have to, like, be in silence for a minute, because
Same.
sometimes people don't get how much this could mean to me, or maybe even you. They look at it like it's a YouTube thing. It's like, no, this is about fulfilling purpose. So, Martin, the reason that you did the things you did, and this culminative experiences that you've had, and now you're sharing this and you're showcasing this, and you're also continuing to embody this, is because it is your purpose.
Mm.
So when you live in your purpose, this is what it is. You've embodied it, and now you can't hide it. I'm sure everywhere you go, it's just like the dust is sitting on you, like everyone you talk with, everyone you interact with, you're going to rub off a little bit of the pollen on them,
Yeah,
like
sure.
a bumblebee.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You look, you rubbed off. I could literally, people just hang around me. Have just a fantastic time when they're in, my Martin world, as you call it. But I have had like being as I know the way reality works and how they've hijacked reality, the manifestation process through negative intent and keeping everyone on a lower vibrational experience. I have still, in the last month or so, or the last little while, been getting niggling doubts about myself, about what
Yeah.
I'm doing here, truth in the fucking first place. I'm like, but I sort of realized that it's YouTube just being spiteful and other circumstances. But I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, and that's out of ego myself. That's out of ego myself. I'm thinking that I should be doing a fuck ton better when I'm watching psyop channels. I'm not going to name any channels specifically, like Russell Brand, who can say COVID over and over again in his last vlog, no problemo. Even if I sneeze it, I got trouble.
Yeah.
And then, he's coming out every single day with what they want you to know, or what he literally say, oh, they don't want you to know this, which means this is what they want you to know. He's their literal mouthpiece. And it hurts I'm not going to get angry, because it's like, that's a bad sort of emotion. But I do
Well,
feel my
it's good
sticking
to
up
feel,
back
though.
on my
It's good to
neck.
feel yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I started to get my hair off a bit with it all, to be honest with you, thinking, when good people who are trusting and just getting into the truth, maybe they're on a lower level of awakening, and we've all had our journeys, and everyone's got a different perspective. I'm aware of that. But when, 16 million and then there's people in my comments saying, oh, he's a wonderful man, and I'm like, it's hurtful. It is hurtful when people are literally like risking their lives, all of their livelihoods, and all of it, everything, just to get to a truth for everybody. And this is not like, I would love to know what we're doing here, George, and don't get me wrong, but if we could do it together, and that moment, just all of us together, a unified moment, is just like a dream to me. It's just like, that is what I want for everybody, to just be totally awake, free from them, and the matrix just evaporate. Because, these kangaroo courts in the last few weeks and all of these psyops, I don't know whether you've seen any of this, right? This fucking thing this week, excuse me, Jordan, but this is what they're saying, and I'm sure there's some sort of government psyop. Many people would say, oh no, it's glorious. It's not glorious. So he's been up in court, right? And he's a famous truther. How is he managing to pay 50 million is beyond me, but he's been up in court. He literally posted all week that this judge woman, right, who literally looks like a pissed off dude, because it is, okay? Look, right? He like literally posted all week that she used to be in CPS, and they, AKA, she's been involved in child trafficking in the past. And then the same day, he sat in court in front of her, and he's like, well, I actually don't know who done that? And he's just blaming everyone in InfoWars and then having a coughing fit. Right. So I'm thinking, is he acting? Is he not? Okay. And it gets to the cumulation, it gets to the end, and they says, oh, you fined 50 million for a family to do with Sandy Hook. And now, so that's going straight back to the government, obviously, because everyone in this fucking room knows what is going on, okay? Because they're all probably watching InfoWars. He accused her of being a nonce. And he's just like, and he's purged himself at least twice in court. He walks out, no further action, 50 million. Same week, the UN declares war on conspiracy theorists. Now, him being fined for just mentioning Sandy Hook, it occurred to me, and I thought to myself, George, and I thought, oh shit, the 101 million things that I've called out on my YouTube channels, I'm in deep shit, if that was true. But UN declares war on dangerous conspiracy theories. The world is not secretly manipulated by global elites. Okay, this is the main. This is not the main thing about it, though. What we're trying to do here at all. Okay, and anyway, the blame game. We're not in that, and they find it worrying and dangerous. Okay, they've been saying that since the beginning. It goes on. They don't specify specific. They don't say like the flat earthers. You know, this Ukraine, COVID, and you know the official sort of psyops that you get, but nothing to do with flat earthing. I haven't seen. Sandy Hook, so he's ordered to pay 45 million in punitive damages to a family that were apparently, one of their family was a victim in Sandy Hook, etc. And 4 million, so 50 million. How is InfoWars worth 50 million in the first place? How
I was just gonna ask, what's his net worth, man? Because like they're gonna garnish his entire fucking life to pay for that.
He must just say, I don't even know how we can get 50 million. InfoWars must be just worth that. And that's the end of it. It must be just floating on a stock exchange, and they know what the company's worth. So because it's all about money, what they can reel off so the company won't collapse. They're not saying don't do it again. They're not saying go away InfoWars, are they? InfoWars is carrying on. It's still going.
Is it?
Yeah, it hasn't folded. Yeah. Still there. Of course it is. That's not the issue. The issue is him saying, and that is just, they could have pulled him in for something that he said about any number of things. The Clintons, for example. He literally states in this, when they says, oh, were you going on about on your channel that people be involved in child trafficking and paedophilia and that? He went, what, like Jeffrey Epstein? And the judge went, this, because it's like, yeah, exactly like that. Because they're saying it's like not happening when it's obviously is because it's all been all over the mainstream. If it is, I think, because we don't know anything of reality, really. They all seem to be just actors to me. They really do. But just a coincidence that the same week, George, and I think that they're trying to get people off of talking the truth. It's a false flag. It's BS. I wouldn't listen to it whatsoever. Okay, if they come knocking your door to arrest you, they'd have to take tens of thousands of truthers into court, and I don't think they're going to be able to do that. And plus, we have got a brilliant court case. Yeah, if any one of these subjects that I covered, I took into a court, they would have serious problems. So what do you think about it all? Have you seen that?
I didn't know about it. I don't really keep up too much with what's going on in the world. I'm really just focused on the art that I'm creating and everything like
mostly,
that.
That's why I don't watch other videos. So I just concentrate on my art.
But what I can say, and this might take it in a different direction, but I think it'll be multifaceted, and it'll come back to something that you were talking about initially regarding Russell Brand and some people that have really big platforms, and they're giving like the vanilla truth, like the layer
there's bits
one
of truth in it. But
and so I'll say this, right? Russell Brand and Alex Jones, like, they're gateway drugs to what we do. So like we need them. Like,
yeah, man, listen, I was watching InfoWars years before the truth, before I was posting. And yeah, it was a gateway to me as well. No doubt about it. Not Russell Brand though.
Yeah, so I talked about this actually. I don't know if you were listening to the part of the live stream that I did where I was talking about lies and deception and how lies and deception are actually important because that's what gets you to unlock discernment. So I'll bring it like this, right? If you ask anyone who's awake, like, what was the moment that you feel you woke up, they're going to tie it back to an event. They're going to say, well, 9/11, or, Tonkin, or whatever, Pearl Harbor. They might even say COVID, right? So, okay, well, that lie is the thing that perpetuated you to finding more truth. Therefore, it was actually good. It was necessary. It was the gateway to your awakening. Now, I get it. I get why people instantly want to get mad and aggressive and hate all this, all the machinations of what's going on here. But in actuality, like, it's just part of the system of getting your black belt. Like, when you're going in karate,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're just earning belts here. And like, when you want to get to that black belt, you have to look at all the stages before you got there and honor them. So you can you could hate and point fingers and say all this negative stuff, but until you let go and have forgiveness and understand why you got here in the first place, it's because of all those steps that you walk to get to this level.
Coast to Coast AM, George Norrie for hours and hours on end.
Yeah, I mean, your work, I'll be completely honest, your work for me, like, about 2 years ago, opened up my mind to a whole new layer of analyzing my own country that I was born in. I'm sitting here in America. I did 3 road trips around the states. I've gone through Utah so many times. So, like, going through that beautiful part of the country and not having the aperture to really see what it was, and then finding your work and being like, "Whoa, this is resonating with me, and now it is unlocking." I was so thirsty for the next road trip because I knew everything I would see would just be with a different sight. So now that I have this sight, but maybe we could talk about this a little bit, Martin. When you're gaining these insights, when you're developing this sight, okay, you must be calm and collected and not super aggressive and because you can't give it the same energy that it seems to give you. So I just want to say that because I believe there is a lot of division right now in the truther community. And
sure. There's they are factioning off and rowing with one another.
It's part of the reason, actually, why I wanted to reach out to you, and we did for a podcast maybe almost 2 months ago or something like that. We just have a calm, collected conversation. Like, I'm not here to promote crypto or gematria or to promote anything. I'm just here to, like,
hang out.
The people who know truth right now, like, we need to come together and stop being caught up in the belief of who's right and wrong, and just allow each other to express, what it is that we have come to in this journey. And that's why this flat earth thing is so divisive and why it works so well for the elite, because they know they could leverage on the duality of it. They could leverage on and that's belief. That's the belief technology.
No shit. It's not a popular thing at all. And you sort of, it's to me, I think, because I'm a flat earther, if you want to put things into a box, I don't think it's for globe for a second, but I do. I get, if people come at me, because of that, I do, and I shouldn't. I do feel protective, and I feel like, fuck you, and I will. I am a bit bitey. I won't lie, and I have been known to be a little bit aggressive in the past too, Jordan. But I won't lie. That is part of
because you're probably also sensitive.
No, I grew
up
on the streets, and I was a street fighter as a kid. I've had 100 fights. I was just always a scrapper. So this is the life I know, is always scrapping, my existence.
Right.
Obviously when I was younger. So,
but that's also probably developed a hypersensitivity, right? Where, like, you feel a lot. And when you feel a lot, you always have to, like, check yourself. And that's part of the ego. You want to check your ego, keep it in check. Come back to yourself and say, like, well, this thing is bothering me. Am I going to pull out my God of War card? Am I going to pull out my sword and fight this person? Or am I just going to step back, pay attention to how I feel?
Crazy fantasy about killing you. Yeah,
I know, because that's the animal, that's the beast within all of us, and if the world wants to operate like that, then we'll continue to have war after war after war after blood ritual sacrifice after blood ritual sacrifice. It'll continue to be the psychopathy that is. So in order to actually break free and be relinquished of the psychopathy and no longer give energy, no longer give prana to the apex predator, like it is not
100%.
worth.
I'm like, I'm being trolled on a professional level at the moment. I mean, nearly every single day there's a video or a Facebook meme or something about me. There's 100 different things about me. I don't give two shits. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. Nothing like that ever do. What bothers me is me. Okay. Obviously, I want to be pure in mind and in soul. Just to perfect my mind and my soul here in this awakening process. And I just keep like falling into human
Yeah.
thought patterns with fake attachment, and I know it as well, and it's like an addiction. But to be pure in heart, I'm pure because I do feel like I'm still pure in heart. But I mean to be like, on a spirit, there's so many things that they say you have to be on a true spiritual path, and there's a lot of them that are not very tasteful to me. It's like there's one celibacy included. I'm like, oh,
Nah,
really?
that's
What
all.
is it?
That's all Eastern spiritualism
It is. It
bullshit. It's
is.
just nonsense. Like, okay, how would that make any sense to be celibate when the creation process of all things requires a male and a female to have
I
sex?
completely concur.
It doesn't even make sense.
No, it doesn't.
The reason the person has vocal cords and the ability to speak with their mouth to say such a thing about celibacy was because a man and a woman had sex. It just doesn't. It's a logic fault.
There's people everywhere. Somebody's been doing it.
It's a logic fault. And I know
It is a
people like to
logical.
hang on. People like to hang on to this stuff. And you know what helps people a lot with this when they don't align with this idea because it's too much of like a pineal buster.
I don't
Just
know. I do.
learn about the Theosophical Society. I'm not talking
Yeah,
to
I know
you.
about. I know
I'm not
about
talking to
that
you.
too. Yeah.
I just mean it in general for
Yeah.
anyone. Learn about the Theosophical Society. Look at the key players that were part of it and how they implemented the spread of all those individuals throughout the realm, just like they did with the Rothschilds with the banking system, just like they do with globalism with the United Nations, World Economic Forum, CERN, all of that. So Theosophical Society was just leveraging on the basic tenets of Zionism and then
I know.
repackaging it with spiritualism to make people fall for all this ego death shit, all this like, celibacy, meditating all day. Like that is not
I do
life.
none
That
of
is
that
not
stuff.
life.
I
Yeah. So
live, and I like you. I like to travel, and I like to meet people. I like to go spreading love stuff of a day. This is my favorite
here's the
occupation.
thing: when you suppress stimulation,
Mm,
you create a bottled up effect where if you suppress somebody's sexuality, you get exactly the opposite. It just explodes.
agreed.
So that is why it happens so regularly in cults where the cult leader is dominating and creating dominion over each other sexually,
Mm,
creating hierarchies of who their partners could be and how they could only serve them. You get the same thing in religion, specifically with Catholicism, the Society of Jesus, and a lot of, the really draconian efforts. And then, of course, in Zionism through Talmudic Judaism and the Orthodoxy. I mean, it is what it is because of suppression of stimuli. So
mm,
once you've succeeded in your ability to survive, if you have running water, a house, whatever, then you have comfort. Well, once you've gotten those two things, the next thing you need is stimulus. Because if you have a mansion and you have like, everything's beautiful, but you have no people, you have no interaction, you have nothing to actually stimulate yourself with, you'll start to self-destruct. So
no doubt about that.
you need to find purpose.
Mm,
So this is a really interesting technique and psyop by Eastern spiritualism mixed in with the narratives to get people to suppress. And what do we have today? We have online, dating app culture.
yeah.
We have all this sexual deviance we've never seen before. And again, I'm not here, I'm not here to suppress that. Do what you want to do. But I'm just letting you know the reason the transgender movement and all this shit was so easy to slide into our world was because of decade after decade after decade of people with no ego, with weak egos,
Yeah,
allowing
man.
themselves to take on nonsensical narratives from individuals who have not even lived a style of life that normal
Pussies.
people have. People who are living in fucking castles, writing your newspapers, telling you how to think. It
Mm.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree completely with all of that. It is a messed up society at the moment, and see the way we're going with it all. Oh my God. But This William Shatner, he did an interview this week on the telly, and he's like, the first thing that he ever wants to talk about is climate change. And we've all mentioned this is the first thing they were going to come in with after Rona, and now it's cooking hot all over the world with the highest summer ever in Great Britain. We've never had temperatures like this in my lifetime. It is cooking. So something is afoot. And then William Shatner says this week that the coming catastrophe on mainstream American television in the morning television. So they're putting a seed out there now into the domain. Now, if the way that the simulation works is everyone starts thinking all of these thoughts, and then sort of things come into fruition. Maybe the hot weather, maybe we did that. They could seed, they could make it rain. This doesn't have to be like, dry everywhere in the world. The Euphrates drying up and all these reservoirs drying up. It has to be deliberate. It can't be, or that they're aware of it, and the climate is going to do one shortly. They are literally dredging around the British Isles. I think it's like 14 million pounds a week of sand, where they're just shoring up the banks of Great Britain. You wouldn't really know about that unless you were into boating. Yeah, so they're like literally doing like ramping up their sea defenses and stuff. But they are pushing, like, saying that it will melt. Obviously in my mind this is not a thing, but they're saying the melt, the glaciers, and the ice, and so water levels will rise, etc.
That is the greatest psyop. I want everyone, if you can, take a glass of water and put some ice cubes in it.
Yeah, oh yes, I seen that. It doesn't go anywhere.
I love psyops. Like, see, I honor them because they're so important for us to access discernment. Like,
exactly.
In order to recognize.
It's brilliant when you recognize it.
Just open up, take your hands and crack open that pineal gland and just fucking soak in the light.
I tell you what, I wanted to crack open somebody's pineal gland. Let me just tell you, I went done activism 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago with this gentleman here, Sven, my brother. I love Sven, he's brilliant. And this guy, these people came over. They were like from Simantan, and his opening words to me were, "Oh, you're one of these kooks, are you?" And then he just came at me, and he came at Sven, he came at all our people, and they were really disgusting. And this guy was really rude. He was calling us stupid. It was just the most disgusting person. And that was like nearly 2 months ago. And I still thinking about like damaging him nearly every single day of the week. Now you can't tell me that's not right. That's not right. I gotta stop thinking about that guy. Sven's laughing now.
So Martin, this made me think of something. So when someone has that much of an effect on you, where you could have just had like a 5-minute interaction, but somehow they've been able to maintain this position in your mind and your consciousness for months, they have you on the puppet strings. Like they're your master. And you need to realize that. Like, we need to be honest with each other. Like, they've mastered you because you're tethered to the emotional cycle.
Yeah,
right.
I'm bugged. And I's his bitch now. I know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's good that you could realize that, because very few people want to admit it.
No, I know. That's why I brought it up. It's awkward, and I don't want to mention it, but it's like, yeah, that guy really got into my skin, and I've been thinking about, what I would do if I bumped into him and stuff. And it's not right. And like, I shouldn't be doing that. Not in this truth realm. I should be thinking about, like, cutting that off like a water off a duck's back, shaking it off and getting on with my existence. But I just keep going, doing stupid shit, like hanging myself up with things like that. And that's
because you need you need forgiveness. Like, you need to just be able to tap into what
myself.
No, forgive them. Forgive them. Like, they were acting the way they were acting because you know the reason. We don't even need to go there, right? The point being is that
get beyond the violent thoughts. It's just what I just might be mentally ill. I don't know.
Yeah, you make me laugh. You make me laugh so much, man.
I'm just being honest. Yeah.
Well, honesty.
I'm a man of this ego, and I'm not one of those pussy ones from the old days either.
Well, no, man. I mean, I think it's important that you're honest, and I think your community honors that, and they appreciate that, because very few people want to go there. Very few people want to expose their shadow. And the more you expose your shadow, especially vocally, like you spell cast it out into the world, which is not a negative thing. You want to release your spells, because when your spells are in your mind, they're sitting there
Speak
in the
them
bird, they're in the bird
into,
cage. If you
yeah.
want to let the bird free, you have to speak it. So when you speak your shadow, especially to random people, to complete strangers, you notice that it creates this, it actually loosens up the tension that you feel.
Hmm. I know when I'm doing it, and I have the argument with myself, and I'm just like, well, I literally talk to myself in that, respect. Is what you're
Yeah.
doing. That's not on, that's not helping, and and it's just like something else keeps dragging me back there, and I'm like, no, because I need all my attention on what my job at hand is. It keeps
Yeah,
detracting me. Just
that's what I said before about fear. Fear makes you slow down. It stops you from taking action. So when we are projecting like this, you could see what fear really is. It's like a detour sign in your journey. Like,
Hmm.
you want to get from point A to point B, right?
Yeah.
But you have this fear in the way that's putting up like this barrier. And that barrier is going to continue to fuck with you every day until you decide to forgive it and have compassion. But if you can't unlock that, and you're unable to unlock that even in the smallest way, then how are you going to be able to unlock it in these really massive traumatic ways? Because if you could have a 5-minute interaction, compare that to a childhood, compare that to 10 years of a experience with a mother or father or a girlfriend or whatever's, or your children, right? So we need to start with these small little steps so that it actually can continue to snowball and you get more control over this side of you. And I believe one of the other things we could do as an exercise is tap into something that you were able to have forgiveness for. Tap into something that you thought
Oh,
you would
I'm
never.
always forgiving, and I'm
Right.
never. I don't hold, bear grudges. I've got plenty of people who've done some terrible, spiteful shit to me, and I
Yeah.
would forgive everybody right here, right now. And honest to God,
Yeah.
that's just not in me to think like that. You know?
So remember how you felt when you were letting go of that, and then you could just apply it again, right? It's like,
Mm,
how do you create a video, or how do you do an exercise routine? It's a routine. You have a
mm.
structure, you have a protocol, and your protocol will be different from my protocol. My protocol will be different from my
No, I
next door
got a
neighbors.
routine. I got a routine. I got a
Yeah,
zone and a mode that if it doesn't work, it's not going to work, and I know it's not. But I got to get in that mode. So yeah, I have certain
that's
music,
super important.
certain ritual that I do, and just my way. To be honest.
That's what does it for me. You know what I do? Like when I'm feeling a little bit overworked and I'm feeling a little bit like kind of like, like in need of slowing down, I'll just listen to music and then I'll walk outside and I'll pretend like no one's around me. And I
Mm.
know I'm just like moving and singing the lyrics and like probably look like
I
like I'm
talk. I
crazy.
sing anyway. I sing
Yeah.
anyway. I don't. Well, I'm in Wales. Everybody sings, brother. It's no problem. No one's going to look at you funny in Wales if you're singing at the top of
Oh
your
yeah.
voice. No, no one bats an
I've never
eyelid.
been to Wales.
Yeah, it's the land of song, man. Everyone sings here. We sing when we talk.
Does Wales, since like this is part of the overall conversation, does Wales feel a little bit less parasitic than, let's say, other parts of, surrounding areas? Better than
Mm,
Scotland or
mm. Yeah,
okay.
sure.
And
Yeah,
why?
sure. Well, we feel that we're in an invaded country. Still, I'm not a staunch Welsh nationalist, but I do feel like Welsh. And we're Southerners. There's North Wales and there's South Wales. They may as well be two separate countries. Okay.
Mm,
There's a road in Britain called the M4 motorway. Anything north of the M4 motorway is considered as the north, and anything south of the M4 motorway is considered the south. And they are two completely separate mindsets. Okay, two completely separate peoples. And that's for Wales and England as well, the North and South divide, we call it. And it's a joke as well between the two. So, yeah, your Southern Gate, your Northern Gate. It's been going on forever. So I guess in Southern Wales is a really nice place. So I guess they do feel that, they got it good, yeah. And it is a little sort of principality in itself. And it's very beautiful. So they do sort of protect it in the way other little countries do as well. But
yeah.
our government is completely nuts. They, along with Ireland, because Ireland's government went nuts, Italy's government went nuts, Australia's government went nuts. Wales government went nuts. Completely different to England. Lockdowns were different times. England was let out like a month before us and stuff like that. Yeah, so we got different laws as well. It's a different thing altogether because it's a different country, you see.
Right.
But we got our own flag, but we haven't got our own currency. Scotland has its own notes with a Scottish currency, but Wales hasn't.
Yeah, that's
So
probably
yeah,
gonna change
we're
soon.
we're like we're very small, Wales. You know, Northern Ireland is smaller than us. That's the other country of Britain, and there's only about 8-9 million of Welsh people in the world.
Oh shit.
Yeah, not many.
Tiny.
Tiny. City's bigger than the whole of Wales. London, there's more people in London than the whole of Wales.
Yeah. No, that's
Which is
actually pretty. That's funny that you bring that up because when I was traveling a lot to Europe and just meeting new people, hostels, homeless people, bars, whatever, and people learn that I'm from America and they start to make judgments about America. But like, if you're in Denmark, the population of the entire country of Denmark is like smaller than New York City, which is
yeah, I
like a
know.
tiny little island hanging off of the state. And if you take Staten Island, which isn't even part of
Oh,
proper Manhattan, that alone, if that was a standalone island that was considered its own country, it would be like within the top 15 population of all countries on earth. So it's just amazing like how people who don't like to like get out, they learn everything from media. Like they learn everything from Facebook and Hollywood movies and
yeah.
whatever. And again, that's another like gateway into like what's going on here in this world. So few people have seen this world. So few people have actually met people from around the world that they just take on these broad assumptions. And
Yeah,
when you
that's true.
have that behavior, you create this echo chamber of belief, and then it's very easy to move people in whatever direction you need, you know. And that's why when something like COVID happened, it was so easy to implement, you know, that sort of change, specifically in cities. You know, it's just so easy to pull off.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a practice run for, you know, this weather doing one, because there's another week of this 31 degrees and we're in serious droughts. It's like a foot of water in the River Taff. The marinas, like you can't, you just block the barrage, can't go out to sea because it's too low, the water levels. So we're going to need a lot of water to remedy this. And they're deliberately, you know, years ago, they used to call a hose pipe ban like willy-nilly, you know, even if it was a wet summer. But they only just called it like yesterday. It's like, what? Or the day before. It's like, what the hell is going on? You know, they're literally forcing these shortages. Well, in this case, a drought. And it's so dry, yeah, so dry. Never known anything like it. Not in my lifetime. And
I
I'm
think they're I
55.
think they're preparing I think they're preparing us for some sort of a currency reset, some sort of big global economic change. And that's probably what they're using all of this like Ukraine, Russia / food shortage / hyperinflation, petrol prices going up, housing issues.
1984 handbook, definitely part of it. Controlling the
Yeah.
masses by shortage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they definitely use the COVID timeline to implement more security cameras and just overwatch of cities and communications. Logistics is another side of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be an interesting setup because I do believe they want to push a new global currency concept, and I don't know how they're going to get away with it. I don't think they're going
Mm.
to be able to get away with it swiftly. It's probably going to have to be very systematic where they go in some nations first and then kind of test run it and then move it through. But what you see with Italy and Iran, where they're allowing huge subsidy on food, depending on people who go forth with a digital identification, like these digital identification cards that are
Right.
tied to QR codes. And somebody that heard me say this in the past, they were confusing this with EBT or welfare or food stamps. No, it is not the same. Okay.
Shit.
It's not the fucking same. This is putting you on a singular digital identification QR code that's going to be tied to all your biometrics, to every little aspect of your reality. And this is going to take place over your social security number or whatever tax identification number you have. And that is what will be used moving forward for things like tax returns or entry into other countries, your visa, for instance. But they are setting people up locally with this first, and they're doing it in Italy. And we're talking about really big swings of prices. So, like, if you're somebody who's trying to get, like, a gallon of gas, the person with the QR code digital identification system is getting a cheaper price.
Oh,
So this is like how they're going to roll it out, and
tempt
they
them in with it. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
get people excited to feel like they're doing something that's helping them, saving them money, because of course that's what everyone cares about in this world. You have a job, you make money, you need that to live, etc. There's nothing wrong with that either. But when they push this new system, it's going to create a big division, because it's going to create, it's like what the vaccine was like. Families falling apart because of their belief in it. People married were breaking up, like, going through divorces because they didn't agree
100%.
with their partner. So my bigger point here is that if people think that was bad, holy shit, get ready for this new thing. I mean, and they already tried testing this out in some places and it did not work. I forgot the name of the country. Maybe you remember, but they tried implementing a certification of a vaccine code for getting into ATMs to access cash.
Sure.
I don't remember. It was some Eastern European country. I believe it was in maybe Kazakhstan.
Right. I'm not sure. I never heard of that, but wow.
Well, anyways, it created like civil unrest. Like, people were just like, nope, we're not going to do that.
Shit. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. It's just some people will be accepted, and you can imagine how they can get rid of certain people in society if they're not, if they mess up in any way, that's all on that code and biometrics as well.
Yeah.
So they're going to be like studying your heart rate and everything else, as in you.
They need to be strategic with the rollout, though, because they know that people are not happy. Like, more people right now, like, I'll give an example. Another good thing to bring back to how something negative and deceitful and lying could be actually positive for your awakening. How many people have become enlightened to what vaccines and germ theory are just because of COVID? Like, before this time, very few people knew anything about terrain theory or knew anything about exogenous syringes and how, like, entering the blood-brain barrier. I mean, nanotechnology that could be put inside of the, very few people were aware of this. Very few. So, okay. So I was correct with that. Good. But anyways, my point about this is that people are starting to wake up now, like myocarditis and people being picked up on Bluetooth and shit. Like, it's real. So now that we're starting to see it come to, and that's how they designed it anyways. They weren't designing this to kill you instantly. They were designing it so that your blood and your organic chemistry takes on this nanotechnology and you become slowly part of this transhumanist, regime. And that was the whole goal. The whole goal is to get people to be picked up by the internet so that you're like a walking router.
I wonder if sorry, go on.
Oh, no. I mean, I'm just telling, the deeper side of this is that it wasn't necessarily to kill people. It's to create easily trackable slaves. It's to know where your sheep are. And this is just one of the, leverage points that brings us into the social credit score, the QR codes. I mean, just look at how addicted everyone is to their cell phone. Like, no one leaves their house without their cell phone.
Yeah, I know.
So you have a walking computer on you at all times. And this is tethered to you in all of your social media, your emails, your cell phone number, all of your conversations and communications you have. So they don't need to put a chip in you. You already have that. You're walking around with the chip.
If a computer virus gives you a virus, like, literally. I'm supposed to be, I'm in the Illuminati cards. I'm supposed to be the internet worm. Apparently, I'm terrible for the internet. Apparently, I'm going to break it.
Well, the internet's the thing again. Like, look at all the truth out there that you could take in, and look at the communications. Like, I wouldn't be able to have my live streams. I wouldn't be able to have this conversation with you. We wouldn't be able to have this transmission to talk with so many people. Yeah, it's amazing.
The information is just like, wow. It's just, you can have a doctorate on any subject now.
Yeah.
Although it would be like limited information. That's what I'm finding. It is limited information with the internet. That's what.
Well, all information is useless until it's applied in your personal situation. Everything's circumstantial. Information doesn't change the world.
No.
It doesn't. Like, knowing stuff doesn't do shit. Having wisdom does. Wisdom is
People
applied
say
knowledge.
to me, when I does my vlogs, that they resonate because I help them remember something like in the past, like something primeval, something in their being that it was
Yeah.
laying dormant and they've been amnesic, and now they just stand to remember. And I hit upon something, and they'll be like, like a snap, and they'll be like, yeah, and then
I
boom,
love that you said that, because I say that all the time. Like,
yeah,
the awakening is a realization. Like, you're all gods with amnesia, and you're remembering what you are. And you're going to find mentors and coaches and people throughout this realm that have something to give. They have something to offer to wipe away that amnesia. And it's the same thing for the coaches. Everyone has somebody that they're here to be a student of, to unlock the memories. And if you get into Greek mythology, you know about Mnemosyne, and there's a movie called Mr. Nobody, and the character's name is Nemo Nobody. And this word Nemo, this is coming back to Mnemosyne, which is the god of memory. And there's so much here with the mythologies, and that's what I'm a student of. That's mostly with my work. Like, when I'm making actual YouTube videos, I'm going more into the mythologies and breaking that down into how it is the implementation of all of our systems. So everything when it comes to the court system and money and jobs, and even the structure of our world as we know it to this exact day, and the protocol that got us here, it is all mythological. It is all given to us from the ancient texts, and it's been given as a plan and a blueprint, and there's nothing new under the sun. You just
nothing
needed
new
to
under
go
the
back and
sun.
look it up. Right.
That was going to
So
be the title of this vlog.
awesome.
Was going to be apparently Solomon did stateth that in the past. So yeah, I do like my Greek mythology, and I did as a child too. I was really into it for some reason. Captain Nemo, yeah, Finding Nemo as well. That's a good one.
Yep.
Captain Nemo. Yeah, really interesting. So in the Garden of Eden, there's an apple, and Eve takes a bite of it, and it's forbidden knowledge. What is this forbidden knowledge? Is it like the recipe for cooking this forbidden knowledge?
It is awareness of self. It is know thyself. Because before you ate the fruit, you were just under the circumstance and belief technology of your creator. It is not physiological. It's not a real apple. It's not a mushroom. This is
No.
the awareness. When you have the access to mind and the full potential of what consciousness actually is, when you realize that you are a soul, you literally are this infinite eternal light.
I very much feel like a soul
Yeah.
before a person, and I have
So
done all
that
my
is
life.
why Eve is and I'm using air quotes, is tricked or deceived by the serpent, because the serpent is your kundalini. The
Yeah.
moving through the chakras into the 33rd after the 32nd vertebrae, which is your pineal gland. And this is all part of the body. When you are trapped here in the body, that's why Adam is Adam. In Hebrew, Adam means human or body. So all Adam is all the atom is the physical makeup of all the, what is going on here. But on the quantum, it's just energy. It's obviously not physical, but as the energy or the vibrational frequency gets slower and becomes, when it loses its fast-paced motion, it becomes still and it becomes heavy and it becomes, and that's what we perceive as the physical world, with this very limited bandwidth of perception. So
Well, the mind makes it real.
yeah.
The
Well,
mind
the
is
central
so
the central
powerful.
nervous system itself makes us even feel like it's real.
Yeah.
Like we literally touch things and we have sensation and we have sensory. Without the central nervous
Well,
system.
I've gone into a place where this physical flask would just be atoms, if you want to call them that, and I've just literally passed my hand through it. I mean, I've been in that sort of,
Yeah.
shifted, that altered state of consciousness, where I've been able to just, this place just comes apart. It just really gets fuzzy. It's not the most solid of realms, this one. And it's not the same realm as I sort of was when I was a kid, and I'm having a lot of memories just in the last year or so. Sights, smells, little mental smell reminders of things when I was at a certain age, maybe when I was a 10-year-old. Honestly, even the summer nights now remind me of that time, and I'm like, why is my consciousness keep harping back to that period? And the music as well is like
your sensory is a vessel. Think of your sensory as a memory card.
Okay.
That's all it is. So your touch has a memory card, your sight has a memory card, your smell, and this will happen to you, and it's because it's storing all those past experiences.
Oh, I remember everything that I've ever seen, anything that I've ever read, everything that I've ever heard. Like I think you might have said about photographic memory. They say there's no such thing. Well, I think I got the closest thing to it. I really do. I remember so much stuff, and I'm really good at memorizing. You know, I can memorize large volumes of work and recant it. You know, and consciousness is shared. I think there's like just only one of you shared, and it's all of this place is mind. To me, all this place is mind. You know,
all is mind.
All is mind. You know, they know this. You know, they may have even, you know, knowing the way the placebo effect works, give everyone a placebo instead of Rona, and they've all had nothing, and now they're all psychosomatically making themselves ill and have had and drop in.
There is no such thing as COVID. It is never
exactly.
It's 100%. There is no
germ
such thing.
Which don't. It's like I know.
Even the testing system in and of itself wasn't designed for viral.
No, it was for cancers and stuff.
But I mean, if you just study PCR and actually look up what it is, it's taking everything and it's multiplying it by a double. So if you were to just look at this very basic, like, you know, like Fibonacci sequence or like any type of, that's how it's operating. So essentially they need to work the dial backwards to a point to find out when you don't have a detectable virus, which is the biggest fraud in existence of all things. This is basically like analyzing the world through the most psychopathic, you know, because it was utilized and implemented to create lockdowns and to take away people's access to creating, you know, to have a financial stream of income, whatever it was. It's very multifaceted. So to leverage on that device, which wasn't even designed intentionally for viruses, and furthermore, it has no ability to detect or isolate a virus that they've never been able to isolate in the beginning, and that doesn't even actually exist because that's not how the body and the organic realm works.
100%.
It's a fraud on top of a fraud on top of a fraud. It's like a Russian doll, you know. So the layers, as you get deeper, you start to see, you know, whoa, this is hard to wake people up from because they're still caught up on the outside of that Russian doll. They're on the surface of it. And when they're on that surface, because they operate as such a basic individual, they're never going to be able to have the sight to see what it is. And this is where I think the virus thing will continue, is because people believe in it. Just the belief in it is enough.
They believe in it, yeah. But you know, they're on about vaccinating for monkeypox and all that now, and people are just. There was lots of people today with masks on. It's the hottest day ever.
What did you just say?
People with masks. Monkeypox, yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Well,
is that a thing?
Yeah, apparently it's a thing. It's rampant in homosexuals at the moment, and they're on about. So basically, it's looking like the symptoms of AIDS, and they're just like going to vaccinate.
Man,
they started some. They started.
I'm ready.
The city where I lived, they started vaccinating the gays in Cardiff. It's in the paper. So
for monkeypox.
Monkeypox. Yeah,
oh man,
pox is a thing because I've had it. I've had chicken pox. I've had measles twice, and I've had shingles as well, which is a type of pox.
Yeah, because it's probably the byproduct of a prior vaccine, which damaged it damaged the gut microbiota, which then in turn damages the lymphatic system. The only time you have a skin problem is when the lymphatic system isn't working. So what happens is
that explains a lot then.
Yeah,
I was a really sickly child, and it was them vaccines, and I had chronic eczema in my ears, on my feet, all that.
That's only possible. There's no such way of getting these types of skin conditions externally. It has to come internally, and then what goes on in your immune system, etc. But mostly it's the gut microbiota when we're talking about getting vaccinations or taking antibiotics. So if somebody's getting vaccinated, especially when
Nice.
they're a very, very young baby, what's happening is you're just damaging the system so much. And because the skin is the largest organ, when the
Yeah.
lymphatic system isn't properly working, it meaning the kidneys aren't able to filter out in waste, so they have to excrete through the skin. And that is why people have acne, psoriasis, eczema, breakouts,
I had terrible
anything.
acne. I had really bad acne.
Yes, so
I'm
that
into my 20s.
Yeah, so that's the
Really bad
byproduct
bit.
of what we consume. And for some people, it could just be something like milk, like dairy product. That alone could just be that one thing. But I don't want to go there. My bigger point is that most of the time when you're getting these people with chicken pox and these shingles, etc., it's because they were prior vaccinated, and that was what was actually damaging the body to create that effect.
What's it saying there? Yeah, Kong pox pandemic. Yeah, it's I don't know if they're going to be buying it. I don't know. People are still watching.
I didn't even know what you just said before. Like, I've never heard of
You
that.
didn't know it is a thing, yeah. But I just this lady here who is my best friend, Jazz Soldier, and she got
Oh,
vaccinated
actually,
and she's
Martin,
done
no,
well. So
Martin, I take
sending
that
love.
back. I take that back. I did hear about it one time, and I
Yeah.
believe I made a video talking about the year of the monkey, and that is where I heard it from. I had a private
Oh
client that I
no,
was working with.
really?
So yeah, in
Yeah.
Chinese astrology, right now we're in the year of the tiger, and next year we're in the year of the monkey. And I remember someone told me about that, a client of mine. I made a video right away because I saw the esoteric meaning behind it. I saw the deeper meaning. I made that video and then I just wrote it off, like I ignored it. But I thought it was like a joke. Like I thought it was like a hoax. I didn't know it was a real life.
No,
I didn't know that the world was actually like
taking it
responding to this.
seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
so I did hear about it, but it's been off my radar now for long enough to the point where, like, I thought it was just like
a
something that
meme
people.
joke.
Yeah, I thought
No,
it was a meme. Exactly. I thought it was a meme.
I did it first as well, but no, it's on the radio
Wow.
now. Yeah,
Shows you, like, I'm at this level now where, like, I just don't give any shit to, like, what's happening, to the point where, like, I'm not
same.
even sure what's serious anymore because I've separated myself from that. Anyways.
Was serious anymore. Even if it was serious and everyone was running like chickens with their heads cut off, waving their arms in the air, I would not give a flying fuck. I would sit and I would carry on doing what I've always done, because I'm not like whatever them lot are doing, I'm not doing. And that's the end of it. Asthma is vaccines as well. Mo Sampson says I wouldn't be surprised at all about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. All animal issues with animals, like what are they called? Allergies, like when people are
yeah.
allergic to cats, all of that. All of that.
Do you
Here's
reckon?
here's here's the thing, like the reason why we need to move past germ theory is because germ theory assumes that a perfectly pure newborn baby is born as a damaged parasite, and that's Zionism. Zionism, through upper education, through the doctoral system, and all the things going on in the medical field, and who are the gatekeepers to provide the title to these individuals to be able to practice as a doctor. These individuals practice Zionism, which is essentially saying that anything that is born in sin, and it's dirty and parasitic, and we have the solution and the answer to revitalize it and give it purity. That makes no fucking sense. If you look out in Mother Nature and you see a deer gives birth to its baby in a dirty stream.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It lands its head on rocks, and then it gets up, and then it's like it's pristine. Everything is okay. We're not out there vaccinating every single newborn animal, you know, but under the preface and like and
Man.
the cult of Zionism has implemented this mindset that you are damaged and you're not sufficient. Therefore, we need to take care of this ASAP. We need to take care of this immediately. And again, that's why you have everything that we're having in this world. I mean, just the fact that so many people have all these forms of cancers and diabetes and heart disease, and these are the top reasons why most people die in the world. And it's not
No, I think
necessarily.
alcohol was a biggie. I think that's dehydrating them. I was thinking it was the water first of all, but if you mix that water with alcohol, I think alcohol definitely has some sort of evaporative purposes to it. I definitely think it's drying people
Well,
out if they're drinkers.
alcohol is meant to be used like mushrooms. That's what people don't know. You want to use alcohol as a spiritual portal to higher dimensions. And now this whole idea behind the dehydration, we could go a little bit deeper on that if you'd like, but one of the things that alcohol does for people that people aren't aware of is it wakes up the kidneys. It actually slaps the kidneys awake. And for some people, when they go a very long time being sober, not consuming any alcohol, and then they consume a little bit of alcohol, it will stimulate the kidneys to actually start to work properly again, and they will release an enormous amount of lymphatic lymph. And when they do this, it might come up in the vomit, it might come up in the stool, it might come up in urine. But
Right.
that is very important. And from the spiritual perspective, alcohol, it's just a demon, and this demon again is a portal to higher dimensions. And you study the mystics, and they weren't using alcohol to get drunk, they were using alcohol to
Spiritual
be able
purposes.
to time travel, to be able to access higher dimensions, to be able to access a frequency that in the sober state they weren't capable of. So yeah, that's why they took alcohol away from a lot of people in
I've
the
seen
United States with.
I've seen Poltergeist when he had that bottle of mezcal with the worm in the bottom, and he drank the whole thing so he could get on that level to be able to get through that portal to go and get Carrie Ann back out of the television. Did you ever see that?
No, I've never seen that.
Poltergeist, yeah, he literally drinks, and the worm, but the worm ends up like got a little face on it and turns.
Yeah, I know
like,
about I know about mezcal,
yeah,
but
no
no, I've never
mezcal,
seen that
the
movie.
worm, isn't it? Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's a peyote worm, isn't it? So it's like,
Yeah,
get
so one of the things here is that when you suppress or demonize a specific thing, you create an effect through belief. So I'll make this very simple. If everyone has this belief that alcohol is bad for you and it does this, that, and the third, and no one's aware of the spiritual protocol, the spiritual practice of it with the ancients, the people that came before us, well then of course you're going to be caught up in this issue of like, well, is this good or bad? And reality isn't good or bad. Reality just is what it is. And it's all about how you interact with it. So while some people could become very addicted and start being very belligerent and, be
dead.
violent. Yeah. But on the other hand, like I'm somebody, for instance, that every experience I've ever had with alcohol, I become silly. I become playful. I become like really just chill. I actually become like even more tapped in. And I started studying this a little bit, and it's because of my relationship with it. And
Yeah, I
I'll
become a
admit this.
pain in the ass.
Well,
Apparently,
I'll admit this. The reason why I have that relationship is because my father was a drug addict, and he's been incarcerated pretty much his whole life. So because I've seen serious addiction, not alcohol, I'm talking about like heroin, meth, crack, etc. I knew what I never wanted to be. So I actually responded to it in a different way. I completely understand that a lot of people actually develop bad habits because of their parents. But for
Mm.
me, I always kind of went the opposite of everyone,
Did you?
society and everything. That's just been like, that's my code. You know what I mean? But
I've had an addictive personality in the past.
and it's
Definitely,
in a way that's been controlling you and hurting you, or
yeah.
because
In a way, it was controlling me, hurting me, killing me for decades. Really, I mean, it's all in the past, but I
yeah.
definitely had an addictive personality, no doubt about it.
Do you feel like that made you stronger and like a better version of
I
yourself
don't
today
know,
though?
no regrets, as I said, because now I can, now at this stage in my life, I can just call it all out, know everything for what it is, and
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me, none of it. I see it all the time, every day where I live. I just see it for like what it will do. Um, but I have tried to analyze in the past personally what was wrong in my life, that I must get drugged up and drunk every fucking night. But I was like, just turned it into like in my psyche, well, I'm just hedonistic. I just like to have a good time and I like to party. And that's the way my mind used to work. I was on like a 20-year party, but taking all of it in excess, like a world record breaking drug taker. And came through the other side, obviously, but it has had like detriment. I caused some sort of chemical imbalances in my brain for quite some time,
Yeah.
and took myself away from consciousness. And it took maybe a decade or something to of my consciousness to regain. And I took that as the greatest gift that I've ever had in this life. Outside of a smile from my mother, that was the greatest gift I had, was to be able to be put back to where I was before I started taking drugs.
Wow. Well, this ongoing, doing it daily for years after years after years, and you start to notice the degradation of the body. This is actually you breaking down the central nervous system. And when you get to that layer of having that central nervous system sort of damaged, it is up to you and your spirit to kind of ask yourself, like, where do I want to go with this? And it's obviously easier to take the path of least resistance and go through the path of stimuli. Most of us like stimulation. You know, when we're hungry, we just want to eat the shittiest food. We never want to eat the food that's actually best for us. When we're feeling sad, we want to cover that sadness up with food or alcohol or porn or whatever it is, gambling. And it's because we never want to actually go the difficult route, you know? And the difficult route is not the path of least resistance, and it's also not the fluid that goes through that path. It is creating your own path. And that's what the world kind of has an issue with, you know? And I'll say it like this. If you're somebody who's around a bunch of people at a party and you decide to not take part in it, they look at you like you're the weird one.
No, man. I'm the life and soul of every party. There isn't a party until I turn up.
But you know what I mean? You know what I mean, right? And that's how
Mm.
my whole life has been. Like, I don't party. I don't mess with people, man. I just stay in my own lane. I keep it to myself. Like, I have a very specific code. But what I've learned is it's helped me protect my energy. Like, I have a very strong force field around me. My intuition tells me that it's been a solid decision to not go that path. And again, I do have the family history. I have the trauma, but I've let go of a lot of it. And now I could see how to actually make it a tool that I could use instead of me being used by it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it could have been easy for me to go back to that lifestyle, you know, having like tragedy happen over and over. But it didn't, funnily enough. It was like the other way. It was like, well, that's the last thing I fucking want to do. I'm going to actually do something cool with my life instead. But I can see how people, if they're weak, could back into that, really, because society is not making it easy for people in the matrix who are not awake. And I don't blame them one bit, you know, if there's lack of information or lack of support systems, friends, nobody cluing them up. That's millions of people, isn't it? And I'm guessing half of these people would be happy to hear, you know. It's like, why didn't anyone tell me this before? You know, I'm sure they would.
Well, you know, another aspect of this is it's not only about how you are, it's about the people you decide to be with. So if you have a group of people that are also addicts who are also committing crimes all day to make money and
Oh, I
doing all
couldn't
this
be near a
shit.
criminal. Oh my God, no. Or a druggie,
Well,
or a criminal. Somebody
when you
dishonest.
surround,
No, I
yeah, well,
can't
when you
have.
surround yourself with that type of,
Can't
and
stand.
I
No,
know
even when I was
why
young,
that.
I could not be around dishonest people. If they were dishonest and they talked about it in front of me, all respect, and I would run away. I just can't be around liars and dishonest people like that. I've always been the same.
Well, most people lie and act like this because they're selfless. They're not selfish. When you're selfish, you actually tap into truth, and that's another. You know, we talked about
It
ego,
is.
and
Do you know what I got taught
that's
to?
another one.
No, you're right. You are. I got like literally talking to a homeless crackhead outside the shop the other day. The guy like literally made me shiver my head off. Goose pimples. He said, he just looked at me. He said, "You got an angel with you?" And I went, "What?" He said, "You're an angel
Damn.
behind you. You got an angel walking with you. What do you do?" And I was like, it's like if he just got this big download and he was like looking me up and down. He's saying I was bright and stuff. I was like, whoa. And then he explained to me that he said, I take crack. He said, because he said, it helps me see. It helps me see. Yeah. Like an alcoholic
I said
would,
this on a
you
live
know.
stream. Yeah, I said
Yeah.
this on a live stream. I was listening to this one guy talk about how he took his first inhale of the pipe. He felt like he left his body and he became like a ghost that was able to like astral project outside of his physical still body. And then he said to his kid, well, that is why I decided to keep doing it, because I hate this world. I hate this matrix. I don't like this trap. And if you knew what it felt like to leave this for a second, you'd probably end up continuing to do it as well. And I know this is not the conversation. Like, a lot of people might be triggered by this. They might take this in a way that me and you don't intend, you know? But again, it comes back to this experience you have with this homeless person. When you are homeless, and this develops a lot, like schizophrenia and this type of mental state, it's because their central nervous system is so beat down, and they've just become so societally excluded, to the point where they're operating with people that they don't have much of a filter left. The filtration system has actually been removed. So you can see this in very severe
Yeah.
cases where they're just like, it's like Tourette's, and they're just a manic. But then you
Yes, and
also
all the
see it.
stammer. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's that.
but you also see it in this way that you said before, where they have the sight. Their filter has been removed, and now they have a sight, and they could see, these frequencies that they were no longer able to actually,
Yeah,
visibly experience. And they'll see angels and demons and all of whatever word you want to use, but ultimately it's the sight. And when you have that sight, it's even more difficult to interact with society, because then people think you're crazy,
yeah.
but you're
I used
not.
to see these drunks when I was a kid, and they were all, there was one I remember in particular, and he was always talking to something, and I used to think as a kid, why is he looking down when he's talking? Like if it was someone smaller, and he would like talk down to it, like every time as well. And I was thinking as a kid, I'm sure that he can see somebody because he's drunk, and that we can't. I was thinking because he probably could, you
Have
know.
you have you ever looked into Aleister Crowley?
Sure have, yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and like his big turning point was allegedly when he came across Abra Lemon magic, like magic ritual that was like multiple month ceremonies, and you have to get a house, and like it's really interesting. But one of the things that I thought was fascinating about this was that the whole goal, the whole purpose of this ritual was to be able to access your guardian angel.
Wow, really?
So I wonder, like, when you're a child and you're solely like you're kind of caught up in subconscious, like you have really no behavioral metrics to compare to, so you're really subconscious, and that's what makes you quite pure, actually,
Mm.
when you're
I was
not
in
in your
Alice in
mind.
Wonderland till I was 5, man. I
Right.
was seeing like
So
what called dead people, the whole, like the full on acid trip,
yeah.
was my life until I was like 5 or 6 years of age.
So I'm sort of this is a theory, okay? Everything I've said so far, like it's very well articulated, and I've thought about it a lot, but this is a brand new theory that I'm laying out on you, and I want to know how you feel.
Right.
I think they are doing what they do with the system of hospitals and the vaccinations, and all of the protocol that they do after you're born in this world, even giving you the birth certificate, and labeling you and basically putting a barcode on you. I think, and then we have the shitty food, we have all the, I think they're trying to remove our guardian angel from us as fast as possible, so that you just become this fucking like easily, programmable
Manipulated,
sheep.
programmable sheep without the
Right.
protection of your guardian
And
angel.
that's why
Oh, it's like
Crowley
that
and
film, the Golden Compass, when everyone's got a spirit guide animal, and they're trying to
yeah.
cause this evil woman's trying to cause a separation between these kids and this
So
spirit
that's
guide
making me
team.
think, like,
Wow, yeah,
Why would Crowley and all of these incredible wizards, and I'm not saying they're good people, they're fucking vile, but they were accessing the spirit realm through the physical realm, and these practices of magic, black magic, whatever you want to call it. It's not that it's good or bad necessarily, it was the intent. And the intent here was to access the guardian angel. So the process that takes you there, I think, is fascinating, because like, well, where was it in the it must have been with us at some point, right? Like, I'm very new to this theory, but I almost feel as if like
I like
we
it. I'm really
yeah,
feeling it
it
actually.
feels as if, like, they're doing everything they can to sever your connection to the guardian angel, so that way it's easier to do what they do with you. And remember, this is spiritual warfare. Like,
Oh,
it is
100%.
it's not about like hurting your body or giving you this skin rash or disease. Like, those are just those are the side effects of taking away your guardian angel. Like,
Yeah.
when you get that guardian angel back, you're on your shit, like you're dialed in.
Yeah.
And you're okay with it. Like you're confident with it, meaning there's no external forces that could get you. Because when you learn the story of Crowley, when he got in touch with his guardian angel, he gave up all of his friends. He didn't even give a shit about his wife
Yeah, he had
anymore.
a name for it as well, didn't he? Oh, he found it. He had a name for that angel.
Yeah, I forgot. It's hard for me to learn about this man because like all the fucked up shit he
Well,
did. It's
listen,
just like
yeah, but you know, you got to like again, you got to discern, haven't you? You got to
yeah,
remember
you
the
just gotta
propaganda ministries and what they
right.
write. You know, he was supposed to be the wickedest man that ever lived. That came from the BBC. At the same time, he just finished a job when he was a war correspondent,
Yeah,
propaganda
yeah.
ministry with the BBC. So
He's part of the
they
club.
had an axe to grind anyway with
Yeah.
him. So you know, do what thou wilt. Now that has got like that's like a double-edged sword. That, but I'm thinking. Weird thing is the Christians will say that you need we can't be just left to our own devices. We need rules and guidelines, and that would be the Holy Bible. Okay.
Mhm.
I tend to think to myself, well, I don't really need guidelines or rules or their rules because I know that I'm good and I know my limitations and I know what I
Right.
will do good and I know what I will do bad, and I don't need that. For the same token, if I do go to do anything stupid and foolish, in my head, I will think, well, I don't think gods would like that very much. So I'm defaulting back to the creator every time,
It's
which
natural,
is
like,
me.
I mean yeah, it's natural, like, it's very normal, and that's the
Is
process
it?
of when you well, I mean, when you study, the Hermetics and Hermeticism and the Hermetic order, I mean, any of the stuff regarding that side of things, you're gonna see that this was always what they would come back to, which is
Mm,
like, what is the all? What is all? And all is the mind, and the mind itself is the source of everything. So when we talk about consciousness or high vibrations or any of these terms, you know, like it's cute and all, but if we wanted to get serious and start to like deep dive through what's happening here, it seems as if some people, a very select group of this population, have access to the all, and then there's most people who are just being strung along by this kind of protocol of um what the all can do to you if you don't realize what the all is. So
mm.
that's why they always kind of push this agenda and this narrative in the Abrahamic religions about like worshiping God and being fearful of God and just, you know, looking up to it as if it's this like warlord kind of who's going to decide where you go when you die, and all of this judgment shit. It's very low vibration, very
Yeah, every
negative.
single day somebody keeps barking at me. I had it again today. Somebody saying to me, "Oh, Matt, you only got the one life." And I read on the back of a van the other day, and I discussed it with my son. I'm like, it's a bit presumptuous. It's like, how do they really know that there's only one life? And enough songs telling us. And why are they saying that there's only one life? You gotta live it now.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
what is a life? What's a life?
Well, I don't know. We can't even establish whether
Yeah.
we're actually alive or dead or whatever, or either one, or do we fall awake instead of falling asleep? Something's going on with sleep. Something's going definitely on with my sleep. That's since all of this craziness. Um, I'm very visionary.
Yeah.
Some of them are really clear and seem like, you know, message I should really sit up and take notice of, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Could
yeah.
be. Like, I mean, sometimes just journaling some of those experiences could allow you utility in the state of being more conscious.
I think it is that because I argue with myself and saying stuff to myself like, "Oh, you're just a nutcase," and then I'll argue with myself and say, "Well, no," because I'll resonate right through me. No, man, that
Yeah.
is the case, and then I'll know, and then I won't argue with myself anymore, and then I just know that that is the case, and
Mm.
I'll just leave it at that. I won't, go any further with it, and just live with that as a
Yeah.
thing that I will live with till the end of this life, because there's a lot of things that I said earlier, that I've held really close to my heart that I know now are no longer true. I
Oh.
wonder where I'll be in another 10 years with my belief systems. Maybe it's best just to not do that.
Yeah, you know, I spoke about this quite often in my live streams about how belief is like an on and off switch, and light doesn't have an on and off, like real natural light doesn't have an on and off switch. So when we are operating under external belief, which is the belief of whatever we're being told, or the religions, the cults, the etc., or even things like the school system or law, or you believe that your name is Martin, and that's even a fault. That's even make believe. That's just the name of, that's the name that your mom decided for your incarnation, but that's not really you. So what's going on here is quite interesting, because when we articulate what this is, what this experience truly is, and what matters about it, we're gonna have moments where we're like, whoa, does this have importance? Why do I feel this way? Should I feel this way? What am I gonna do about this? And there's like a default programming that some people just like bow down to, and then some of us are built with a antivirus software where we just know how to tap into the main code and say like, nope, that's not how this is going to be. Like, I'm going to be the magician right now. I'm going to be the alchemist. I'm going to be somebody who redirects the stream of prana to come back into self. And I want to be able to access it. So here's the thing, right? Belief is a completely artificial concept. Belief is mimicking an organic process of a frequency wave, but belief in and of itself is just the on or off, or yes or no, or good or bad. And it's very simple. It's either you believe in God or you don't believe in God.
Yeah.
You believe in Jesus or you don't believe in Jesus. You believe the earth is flat or you believe the earth is not flat. You believe NASA's telling you the truth or you believe NASA's bullshit. So what is it? Okay, it's just externalizing nonsense, and it has nothing to do with you, but you believe it has to do with you because you are the observer. You're the reference point.
I know. We keep associating to these external bullshitteries, and it's just
so
I've said,
I trust everyone, but I only believe in myself. And again, people perceive this sometimes as ego, but what I'm trying to say here, because I understand metaphysics, in order to manifest abundance, you need to allow everyone as part of your abundance. Every single player in this reality has something to offer you. It's not necessarily, what meets the eye. So I trust everyone as part of this experience. I know that I am protected to not get involved in nefarious or negative or harmful situations. I know this. I have set that up. Like, that is my spell that I've cast. So I trust everyone, but I only believe in myself. And society operates the complete fucking opposite. Society is being, don't trust anyone except your mother, and I believe in everything outside of myself. So they get caught up in this like, this enslavement of consciousness. And consciousness is about a freedom, a free mind. And you need to let that dove go, It's like bashing up inside of your skull cavity, trying to get out of you. And we've been programmed through belief to hold on to this. And, I really think belief is an artificial programming. It's a program that has been created by the demiurge and implemented into the source code of man, so that we are unsure of ourselves. And when you are unsure, when you don't believe in self, you will always be at the sword of the hierarchy. And that's not for me, man. Like, I've decided to take a different path. And for me, the organic code is resonation. It's resonation. Belief doesn't have a resonation. It's an artificial
belief
wave.
does not have a resonation. It does not.
It can't. It literally,
a entity they've invented. It's all of it. If you just Google what it means, the definition of belief, it clearly tells you what it is. It's just, I covered this before. I knew what it meant, but then I knew what it meant with me, with my separate belief systems in the matrix, so to speak. And just dealing with that, really, isn't it? Just filtering.
Well, when you pick a side through belief, okay? When you pick a side,
that's opposition again,
right?
Isn't it?
So that's my point. When you pick a side, that means you fall with it as well. So when it succeeds, it's working, and when it fails you, you fail as well. So when God fails you, you also fail. When Scientology fails you, you also fail. When flat earth fails, you also fail. So when you decide to take on the belief system externally, when you decide to join the cult of whatever belief is, whatever you decide it to be, and you could categorize it however you like, that means you drown with it. When the flood comes, your ass is under the water.
Unless you got a boat.
Well, you are the boat, and that boat is about you believing in yourself.
Yeah.
When you believe in self, you're the boat, you're the wind, you're the
I can
water, you're the
trust myself.
sails,
I can trust myself in foreign countries on my own when I was a teenager with no money, nobody to rely on, and get by. I know how to operate in this matrix, and I have done for 40 odd years, and I'm quite good at it as well.
That's
So,
what
and that was
intuition.
only just because of me. I was,
Yeah.
because self belief again, but knowing my capabilities and knowing
Right.
that I can do stuff that other people clearly cannot do, and
Yeah, belief in self is another way of saying gnosis or applied knowledge. It's
right.
essentially intuition. Like belief in self is intuition. You know that whatever you resonate with, you're going to respond to that resonation, and you were protected in that process.
Hmm.
Like I look at this world very simply, where most people have forfeited this ability because it's difficult, Martin. Like it's super fucking difficult to walk out into the world and be confident that you are what you are, because you've been told you are your identity. You're your social security number. You're
Yeah,
your name. You're
and
your
I'm a legal
age.
name fiction. It's not even
Right.
mine.
And it's done, and this is why I've done this process of not showing myself and not talking about my age or any of this stuff, because it's irrelevant. It is fucking irrelevant. And the more that I spellcast that identity self out to the world, that is the inflated ego. The inflated ego is
Yeah, you don't
your
need to.
identity. Your
Yeah.
identity self is there for you to honor as a portal to get to higher self. But the identity self is not serving you. The identity self is serving them.
Mm.
And that is why
It's-
they created a world of having privilege through uh, paperwork to allow you to do things. And that is tied to identity. It's not tied to your soul. They don't have there's no such thing as a ID card for your spirit.
Our spirits don't even exist in the material realm.
So this is why they're pushing this digital virtual reality game, because they want to make it eventually go there, where everyone's in the metaverse and every interaction is through the lenses of that virtual how could you it's a new form of optics which removes the identity self another layer, and now you have like two sub layers in front of it is so interesting. But when you step away and just look at it from the side,
Hmm.
and you see the way the world is accepting and moving forth with this, just imagine what's to come. Like the war that's happening now with consciousness and spirituality will eventually, be noticeable when people are no longer looking with their eyes anymore.
So is the nature of consciousness.
Right.
Yeah, eventually.
And it's
Eventually.
because it's easier, right? It's always easier.
Mm.
If you can't find a sexual partner, well, you could fuck anyone in the world on virtual reality. If you can't find a friend to play basketball with, then you could just play basketball with them in the
If you
in the
ain't
metaverse.
cool, you can go and do cool stuff in your avatar and be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's raining outside and you want it to look sunny, you just put on So remember that movie They Live?
Oh fuck yeah, God yeah. Classic.
Yeah, like it's making me think like, oh, what are the real sunglasses though? Like,
Yeah,
like
what would you really see? Well,
yeah,
I tell
like
you what I watched last night was a fantastic little film. It was the new Predator movie, Prey, and it's set in 1790s America. And it's
huh.
basically the Predators taking on North American Indians, Cherokee. And oh, it was really good actually. If you like history, it was really good for history. But they had this super duper smart Indian lady in it, and if she'd have been around now, she'd have been like super smart, you know.
Mm,
Very clever film, and lots of clues in it as well. And they didn't go crazy on the old space stuff. There was none in it whatsoever. In fact, none.
mm.
But they had the French skinning the buffaloes and stuff for pelts, which was quite horrendous. She went over and done a prayer with the buffaloes, because that upset the alien, and it set her as well. Because like, this is not on. These French are really not nice, because they weren't nice in this film actually at all. Settlers. So yeah, it was a good little history lesson. Anyway, not that I don't
Have
think America
you
was like that.
Have you seen or heard of the new Resident Evil show that's on Netflix?
No, my son's been banging on about it. He's big on Resident Evil, actually.
Did your son tell you how the outbreak of the zombie apocalypse starts in 2022?
No, no, no.
Literally, when you don't even need to watch the show, brother. Just watch the first 45 seconds or 1 minute of the first episode, and you're gonna see they give it all to you. They
Yeah, I had a
literally
van go past the other day with Umbrella Corporation on the side. I'm like,
what?
isn't that copyrighted, or do they really exist? Honestly.
Oh yeah, of course they exist.
Yeah, Umbrella
Yeah.
Corporation van went past. Me and my son's like, Resident Evil. It's
Do
like,
you see
yeah.
their logo? Their logo is the Templar's cross.
Oh, it is. It is. I've literally downloaded an image only this morning on Facebook with all of the coding in a lot of these symbols, and that was one of them, actually.
Yeah.
It's like
Well, the
Alfa Romeo,
Templar's cross, again, like a lot of people who are new to this truth, they just quickly and instantly get mad and they start pointing fingers. And really what it is it's just the four corners of the earth. Like there's a lot of four symbolism, you know? So
Yeah,
that
it is.
the Templar's cross is the as above, so below, as within, so without. It is just
I see
showing
it the
you.
same as well. I see the horizontal line as the inertia plane, and
Mhm.
you know, I done
Exactly.
I literally included it, like this is the context of my first book, is that shape, which are called the four angels, or the four corners, if you like.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah. So the Union Jack was in, I included Swiss flag and anything with.
Yeah, so the Union Jack, if you look at the Vatican, St. Peter's Cathedral, it's right
And I
there
included that one as well.
within the
Yeah.
obelisk and the Vesca Pisces. So yeah, they're giving us all this symbolism. And actually, you know, I do have to leave in a little bit, but I wanted to
Yeah,
ask
that's
you
fine.
some.
Yeah, we've been running wow, quite a while actually.
Yeah, but I want to wrap up on this
Sorry.
thought because I think people will be interested.
Okay, cool.
Do you feel like these symbols and this information, like perhaps what you've come across with Tartaria and the mud floods and past reset and trying to figure out what's really going on here, do you think that it is being given to us intentionally to help with the awakening and they just rely on the masses to not have the sight to see it? So this small community, because we're like a very, very unique group of people here, you know, when we're compared to the Russell brand.
Yeah, I know. Just a small corner of the
Right,
internet.
right. We're really like the truffles. So the point
Dig deep.
the question that I've been getting asked a lot, I already know where I stand on it, but I've been getting asked it a lot, and I don't know if you get asked it a lot, but it's basically, is this truth that's being revealed, is it not actually nefarious? Is it being done so that people could become illumined to what's really going on here, which is not all this Illuminati fucking Freemason bullshit. It is so much more spiritual and so much more expansive. What do you think?
I feel that it's benevolent. I feel that all what's been going on in the Truther movement has been like, even though we're messed with by the man and the beast is on us all the time in that spiritual war, overall, I feel there's something good coming in this great awakening, and I feel that we should, you know, I just keep, you know, I've never like lost my faith in that fact that I really do feel that we're on the right path, you know, and that we're doing the right thing, and I feel like driven, like literally driven to do it. I don't even know why I do, you know. It's so detrimental to my life, brother, yet I do it, and I do feel that it is good. I do feel it's good. If it was not good, then I'm sure that my spidey senses would tingle. But some pictures like this one, just before you shoot off,
Mhm.
you know, just to explain what I mean, it's like this picture's 1 in 1,000. It shouldn't really be there. And as soon as I seen it, I was like, oh my god. So Wild West Town, Omaha, Nebraska, 1879. But this is downtown, and they're all wooden shacks, and they're all just shit. There's only one stone building here. This is Wild West, but in the background, they got this massive Tartarian building. The question is, why did they start with this up on the hill? Why didn't they build superior architecture on their downtown area? To me, it's up on one of these muddy hills, and it looks like this is just the top, and this would have been one of these massive buildings. You never see the two. You never see a Tartarian building, and you never see the Wild West in the same picture. And only 9 years later, they had a great exposition, which is in question as well all the time. But I find it very suspicious that you got these, these unbelievable superior structures next to the shitty Wild West. You know, you got to ask yourself what would be the architectural sense in building a superior quality building outside the town and leaving all the rest just as wood. Makes no sense. So I think that one is a leftover building from what would have been old America, because everything's reversed. They tell us it's the new world because it's the old world. God, I found a newspaper cutting this morning, found giant bones in Athens. I was like, oh, the Greeks, have they found giant bones from 1900? And it was Athens in America. And I'm like, maybe these
Georgia?
Georgia.
Wow.
So I was like, so I was wondering, like, is that the first Athens? You know, there's like, you got the first, you got Memphis, you got a Mount Ararat in Pennsylvania. It's like,
in Nashville, they have an incredible Greco-Roman building that it looks like something out of, Rome, Italy. It is insane. I forgot the name of the building, but it's similar to the I'm trying to remember the name of it. You might know.
I've looked at Nashville much.
Yeah. Look at Nashville. They have one building there that just, it stands out. It makes no sense. It's just super random. It is really incredible looking. Like it sticks out like a sore thumb. And I think if you look into that building, you'd have some awesome stuff to share with you.
I will have a look, man. But it just gives you them questions about history. It's like, this is not making any sense. It makes no common sense. And I see science as a religion. Scientism to me is the most powerful religion on earth at the moment. If you say anything against scientism, people will get really annoyed with you because of their ego. Of what they know about science stuff. Like, it's like this argument's coming up now about the James Webb telescope and the images and proving gravitational lensing, etc. Yeah, there's videos all over the internet now that they literally tell you to your face, oh no, this is the original image, which looks no different to what my camera can take, and we put them through this enhancement, CGI, computer generated, 9 of us, and then we'll layer them over in different colors, add sparkly bits, and there is your James Webb images, 100% CGI.
Dude, if you could see Instagram filters of people that have no teeth using an Instagram filter that makes them look like they have pearly whites.
Oh, I've seen it, and they do some weird thing with their face on Instagram as well. Make himself look more beautiful.
I saw this one video of a guy taking old cast iron skillets, like old cast irons, and taking really close up pictures of the bottom of them, and then they all looked like planets.
I've seen it.
It's just. Oh, actually, Martin, if you want, before I leave, I sent you a message in the chat with a picture. If you want to pull up that picture for the people that are watching, this is in Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, it's insane. Even the space.
Oh wow, I have seen that. I got an old picture of that.
Yeah.
No shit. I got an old picture of that. I remember now.
Like, why did they build that? What did they build that for?
Well, it's this a copy of either Jupiter or the Temple of Bacchus or the Temple of Jupiter. By the looks of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it's a bigger one. The one I had I counted them. It was a dozen.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh, God. The thing is, what you find with all these temples is it's all like you can walk in there, but a lot of them have just got like there's a block insert inside, like a separate building for some reason. That's where you get in a lot of these temples. But the purpose for them, it's just what the hell? That's Greco-Romano.
Yeah, this building's a power plant.
There's a power plant. And check all of the bas reliefs, all Phoenician. You got the Centuria there, half man, half horse.
So when I was learning about gematria, which I do on my channel quite often, just decoding using the alphanumerical ciphers and then comparing, those to each other. But for anyone new in your audience, one of the profound connections that I made with Gematria was how all architecture was actually utilizing the Gematria code within the naming of the buildings and the actual layout with the cosmos, and then they were hiding in either time capsules or within bricks or blocks of these megalithic buildings. And that is where they were hiding all their secrets. So they were essentially hiding secrets within the architecture, and then they were coding it so that it would need to be decoded by people that were able to, to understand. And it was typically, and they were doing it mostly in Greek isopsophy. So the Greek version of Gematria. And it's super fascinating, bro. But when you learn, like, there's a reason why they're called the Freemasons, like they're the stone builders, they're the architects, they're the stewards of this realm. And that's a very base layer, type of thing. But there is something to this, they're being given the teachings of the ancient mystery schools going back to antiquity, and they know this. They know that they're coding language and numbers together to hide it wherever they need to hide it, and only the elect will know how to decode it to be able to know the secrets. So they're not going to leave it in the Bible. They're going to code it into the Bible. They're not going to leave it in the Talmud. They're going to code it into the Talmud. So you need to know how to actually decode that. And that really sparked a whole new, realm of knowledge and research for me. So that lets a little more people know about where my work and your work can kind of collide, because you're looking into all these buildings and, even the geographic locations, they're super specific. They call them, the coordinates of all these buildings is very intentional, so maybe that could be part of maybe that could be another conversation we have in the future, but I got to go. It's been
we thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today, Jordan. We've all very much enjoyed it. There's 666 people watching right now. You can't make that up, can you?
The number of carbon.
It is as well.
Yes, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons.
Yeah, as well. That's good.
All right, I appreciate
thank you. That's really eye-opening and helpful, I'm sure, to anyone who's listening as well, which is...
I really appreciate you, Martin, and I appreciate your community. It's all love. Our community loves you guys. It's beautiful to see everyone come together, and I'm excited for round 3.
Same here, brother. Thanks for giving your time and coming over on a Wednesday. You're giving us a special treat. Anyway, that's fantastic. Of course. Thanks so much.
Much love, everyone. Take care.
Yeah, much love to you, my brother Jordan. See you soon. Yay! Right, guys, 600 odds of you, my lovely lovelies. I'm going to be diving off soon. Let me give you a few of you shoutages. Scorchio. It was very, very Scorchio. 589. Yeah, that's in that chat. I'm including the Celtic Tartarian channel, and it comes up on there and accumulates, in total. So thanks, Lurkin. Thanks, Emma Coombs. Thanks, KB. He's awesome, Jordan, isn't he? He just gets so buzzy, man. He gets deep down with them truths, man. The man who opened my eyes to see the buried windows. Love moves. Once you see that, you can unsee it, can you? Tracy Bullock. Yeah, I have some crazy emails. People like from all over the place sends me their mud floods and stuff, saying how much it blows their minds, and architecturally makes no sense. Massive questions with all of this, guys. Huge questions. Something is afoot. So FLATEARTH crypto coin, cryptocurrency, double flat thumbs is linked below. You can get crypto FLATEARTH coinage. So if you are going down that road, make it Flat Earth road, because it's, if you're a flat earther, it would make perfect sense. Flat Earth, fat coins. Brian Evans, with all Freemasonry, because they found it, so it was free. There must have been some armies of Masons. Well, I've worked with Masons at B&Q, and they used to all have their regalia on a Thursday night to go on the Freemasonic Hall, and they were just my mates in the day. They got pissed, smoked spliffs, did all normal stuff, and just like normal blokes. And they weren't like PD or not normal in any way. They were just in a working men's club thing. But obviously, I was wording up the one guy, trying to say, like, not knowing anything about it, saying, yeah, but you all like worship Baphomet, don't you? He was like, no. So, well, I think you do. It's like, no, we don't. It's like, we think he's a great architect. It's like, well, just tell me more. He said, I can't. It's like, oh, all right then. So, but he was like that. So they know bits, don't they? I think it's better and more organic discovering their big secrets this way. That way, we discover it organically, and it's a massive buzz. If it's been given to you, it's like, well, that's head fucking. But then you never discovered it. Hi, Tabs Fowler, my brother, Maxwell, Trom. Good to see you, my friend. Joey Johnson. Oh, we are all 666 so long as we are here. Well, no, a few have dropped off now because everyone's running off home. I'm going to myself, got a nice cup of tea. And let's go see some to munch. I think I've run out. Pamela Stuper. Fat fingers, Manny. 666. So make sure to catch up on my last posts. I have 2 in the last week or so. Hiya, Sheris. And I will be back, obviously, on the weekend. Flat day. Got to get through this heat now this week because, honestly, it's hard to even collect thoughts when it's a zillion degrees. So if you're still awake, Melage, probably talk in chat. Everyone send love to my good friend, my best friend, Mel, because she got back. Okay. And Bidali Belly. Some dodgy pub lunches. Cheech Duck. I wouldn't trust any food in this warm weather. I would definitely be suspect with the kebabs. No, there's enough chili in them not to worry about salmonella. But botulinus is a thing. Amanda, good to see you. Rich, good to see you, mate. Free press 666. Oh, and good penny. Hiya, lovely. So, what are you all going to do with the rest of your day now? You're going to have a good time? You keep that vibration up? I've learned a lot. I'm glad that we shared our thoughts and tried to clear some of this baggage, this emotional trauma that we are dragging ourselves through. Freemasonry, they inherited it. I just said that, Dave. I know. So, S. Lee. So, super fantastic. Great. And look what you would have won. So, subscribe to all Flat Earth British channels if you wouldn't mind. And try and override that bullshit algorithm of YouTube's. Like and support me in any way you feel free. And I will be back very soon with more duties. The giant cathedrals were houses of the Lord. No, they were resonating healing machines back in the past. They got taken over by a very nefarious religious organization where they all worship fucking the horny one. I don't mean that in a good way. Andrew, good to see you. Cappadocius. Ionis. Going to chase them out of this realm is what we're going to do. We're going to chase them out of this realm. Wearing God's armor. Invincible like. You know? Anyway, I got to go because my Brian's fuzzy and shit. Crazy Mum, good to see you. That's cool stuff about the Skittles. Skittles is weird. Hugh looks like a computer chip. It does. It does. It looks more like a heat sink, to be more specific. Hugh, a cooler for whatever components it would have had inside in this computer board realm. That seems to be self-cumulating. The drive your camel through one and come out the other squeaky clean. If I was to drive a camel. Right, thanks, Reality. Thanks, Cat. I gotta go. So, see you soon. Double flat thumbs to Infinity Fries. Thanks to Jordan. That was really enjoyable. Thanks to all of you for watching. I will be back in a couple of days. Make sure to catch up with all things Flat Earth British. You'll find it all linked in the descriptions box below. Get over to Jordan's, give him a sub. Go and check out his live feeds. He has funky psychedelic stuff going while he's talking, and it's proper good. So, Rudy, good to see you. Copies of Balbec. Says Rudy Maliaskit. It was not Rudy Maliaskit, now it was Rudy and Dogs, but we will always fondly remember him as Rudy Maliaskit. Radiolariums. I have Vertigo. Sherry, good to see you. That is a Greek car wash. Ha ha ha. Very funny. Good One, I should wipe the buds off your windscreen. No, thanks. That was another good film. If you do want to watch a good film on YouTube, Steven Spielberg's first film, Duel, with Dennis Weaver. It's tense. It's really fucking tense, guys. It's about a psychopathic lorry driver that tries to kill Dennis Weaver, and then he ends up having like a duel to the death. It's Spielberg's first film. So it's on YouTube. I watched it last night before I watched that Predator film, which was brilliant. Tartarian chocolates. I want Tartarian black ash. If anyone invents it in Tartaria, send it over. Aria? Not really. Oh, this country's so fucking weird. Hippie chic. Kerry. Anyway, much love to you all. You are awesome people. Fantasticus beyond belief. Athens of the South. And science and religion are tools of control. Indeed, indeed. Cunnilingus. Who's saying hi to squirrel? Okay, then. Much love to you all. Healing vibes if you're not feeling very well. And anyone else. And I will be back very, very, very soon. Thank you for coming on a Wednesday night. Enjoyed that immensely. Just give you anybody else who I miss? Esli, Liddy, Helmut. Good to see my friend. King Snuggle Gerson. Mickey's in the offside. Mickey. Son of Overbrook. Good to see my friend. Bruvskis and Siskis. Sisteries. Bruvskis and Sisteries. Hayden. Can't think of a version of that. Aquarius. It looks like the Parthenon. TW, good to see you, my friend. Alex, Pushkin Castle. Three Fingers. Who's your Middle Beach? Good to see you, my friend. FE Nation, good to see you. Pop music. Four Jacks. Thank you for four jacking me in my membership, which is fantastic. Membership. Johnnyman. And Vividness and GA. Okay, then there's a few shouts. And my books you can buy in descriptions box if you're interested in things we've talked about that included from my books in this show. Kamato. Do I think crypto is an agenda? No, I think cash is fiat currency and doesn't really exist anyway, so that's none the worse really, and it seems to be going that way, so this will not be left behind. Dion, much love. But gold and silver is where you really should be at. Oh, fat fingers. Jewels. NA literalist, good to see you. The 1% of the elite. Yeah. And we're like millions and millions of us, yeah, off of that little piece of turf. We literally need to listen to, you need to go watch the Warriors. Yeah, you need to go and listen to Cyrus. Cyrus had a plan. We got killed by a warrior. The Warriors did it. No, they never. Love you, Martin. Thank you, cryptocurrency. Thank you, Hippie Shake, my dear. And Glenage is in the house as well. I didn't see you there, my brother. Nathan, love you, brother. Colin. Charlie. Yay. Charlie been with me for donkey's years, which means a long time. Daryl, good to see you. Learn to grow your own food. I've been growing food because I worked 6 years in a garden centre before I did YouTube, and I had the best garden in the world, but I haven't got a garden anymore, so I can't grow shit except my house plants. Anyway, I gotta go. Enjoy what you're doing for the rest of the day. Be good, and don't do anything I wouldn't do. Much love.